People would have laughed at you if you had told them a decade ago that they could live in Elvis Honeymoon Hideaway in Palm Springs. The internet has made it easier than ever to know just about anything you want. So with all this content and information available, how did you know which ones to learn from and which ones actually work? Luckily for you, TTP member, for today's video, we will be talking about the Elvis Honeymoon Hideaway in Palm Springs. Did you know that it is now back on the market for $5.65 million? Remember that while the first step is completing this amazing video, the second and possibly more important step is taking action even if it's imperfect action. Alexander opted to design and construct this one-of-a-kind home for his wife, Helen, and their family in the early 1960s, not long after coming to Palm Springs, before Presley turned it into a popular tourist attraction. Although Helen receives varying degrees of credit for her contributions to the home's design, it is clear that she was involved in it to some extent. The house was built by the Alexander Construction Company, run by Robert and his father George, who also worked on numerous other significant projects in the Palm Springs region. In addition, the Alexander Construction Company is well known for projects like the Ocatili Lodge and prominent people's residences in the Las Palmas district. Alexander Construction Company is renowned for modern architecture in Palm Springs. Over the years, the company took on a number of high-end projects, but more wonderfully, it also constructed more than 2,000 homes in Palm Springs that offered more moderately priced housing options with the same modernist design excellence. Affordable tract homes in Palm Springs were planned and constructed over several years in cooperation with another architectural firm, Palmer and Crisell. One instance is the area around Twin Palm Estates. Each property in this area is about 1,200 square feet and has a swimming pool and palm trees. In the 1950s and 1960s, the average price of a property in this neighborhood was $30,000, which is equivalent to around $250,000 now. That's a great deal in Palm Springs. Getting to know Palm Springs 1350 Ladera Circle. The Honeymoon Hideaway is a 5,000 square foot house with 3 stories, 4 bedrooms, and 5 bathrooms that is situated at the base of the San Jacinto Mountains. This residence, which is situated at 1350 Ladera Circle in Palm Springs, California, can accommodate 180 people at once. The building was really constructed as 4 circles, so there are no sharp turns in this home, as if it weren't already vast and luxurious enough. A sizable pool in the shape of a pentagon is located at the back of the house, but it is concealed by nearby trees and other vegetation. A lovely garden, a gorgeous waterfall feature, a fruit orchard, and even a tennis court are among the many outdoor amenities. In the 1990s, the entire house underwent a skilled restoration, with the design staying faithful to its 1960s flair. As an added bonus, you can view Marilyn Monroe's former home from the back of the property. Inside the House of Tomorrow, what is there? Natural stone makes up the majority of the walls in the house, while floor-to-ceiling windows can be seen practically everywhere else. A built-in antique couch that wraps around the rounded wall of the living area is present. Off the living room is a little den with furnishings and a rug made of animal skins. A circular island with 5 stove-top burners and an indoor grill is surrounded by a lot of counter space and storage in the kitchen. This kitchen's enormous stainless steel refrigerator is appropriate for a chef. The corridors leading from these communal living areas to the bedrooms and restrooms are adorned with memorabilia from Elvis Presley, including portraits, LPs, and posters. With its lovely panorama of the Coachella Valley at Santa Rosa Mountains, the upstairs bedroom is known as the Honeymoon Suite. The floor of the master bathroom is tiled in black and white, with a large soaking tub in the center. Other intriguing elements of the house include a vintage jukebox, which is, of course, filled with some of Elvis Presley's greatest hits. How was the name House of Tomorrow chosen? The Palm Springs estate attracted media attention practically as soon as it was finished. The home received its appellation, the House of Tomorrow, when it made its debut as a centerfold in Look magazine in 1962. Heartthrob crooner Elvis Presley decided to rent the home from 1966 to 1967, just a few years following this debut, at a staggering $21,000 per year. In spite of their initial plans to wed here, Elvis and Priscilla finally decided to sneak out of the mansion and wed in Las Vegas after the press learned of the engagement. After that, the couple decided to spend their honeymoon there, giving rise to the place's well-known moniker, Elvis Honeymoon Hideaway. The Hawaiian wedding song is allegedly what Elvis sang as he carried Priscilla in the front door. Exact 9 months later, their daughter Lisa Marie Presley entered the world. There are several well-known celebrity hideaways in Palm Springs, besides the Honeymoon Hideaway. In the middle of the 20th century, so-called hideaway mansion became highly fashionable, and Palm Springs became the city to flee to. Due to Palm Springs' proximity to Hollywood, celebrities including Elvis Presley, Priscilla Presley, Bob Hope, Cary Grant, Elizabeth Taylor, Frank Sinatra, and countless others bought or rented property there to temporarily escape the spotlight of fame. Palm Springs has earned its reputation as a playground for the wealthy and famous, since former President Ronald Reagan and his wife Nancy would occasionally retreat to the city. Robert Downey Jr. and even former US President Barack Obama and his family are two other well-known travelers. It is simple to take a picture or a selfie in front of the house because it is easily visible from the street and is in a peaceful cul-de-sac, but always remember to respect private property and stick to common areas. The house has occasionally been available for private parties and tours. In late 2017, the Honeymoon Hideaway of Elvis Presley was listed for sale for $5.9 million. It is unknown whether the new owners will continue to permit tourists, and in Palm Springs, California, there's arguably no other home that compares to the famous honeymoon retreat of Elvis and Priscilla Presley. In 1962, Look magazine dubbed it the House of Tomorrow due to its futuristic design. The house has an illustrious past, but no one wants to buy it. The iconic mid-century modern building was listed at least 16 times between 2014 and 2020, with prices ranging from a lofty $9,500,000 in 2014 to just $2,900,000 in 2020. Due to the price reduction, a $2,600,000 agreement was made that year. The 4,694 square foot home was refurbished by the present owners, and it is currently listed for sale for $5,650,000. This time, we believe it will be simpler to locate a buyer because of the amazing upgrades. According to Compass listing agent Mark Sanders, the home is done so wonderfully. Even though it has been updated to meet modern living requirements, it nevertheless has all of its original architectural integrity. According to old listing images, the previous owners kept the house just as Elvis would have used it. The old-fashioned time capsule was decorated with mementos and images of the king. The updated listing photographs demonstrate the new owner's alternative strategy. While maintaining its glitzy history, the house was updated with today's amenities. For $21,000 a year, Elvis leased the house in 1967. He allegedly intended to wed there, but after the media learned about it, he and Priscilla snuck back to Las Vegas for a secret ceremony. They took a trip back to Palm Springs for their honeymoon, staying there for 4 days until Elvis had to return to his movie-making job. The main suite makes the most of its breathtaking mountain and valley views. It currently has a tasteful, neutral interior design. Additionally, the bathroom or dressing area was redesigned. The original built-in wardrobe closets are still present, but the tile, cabinetry, and fixtures are all brand new. Because it had suction ports, an indoor grill, and wall-mounted radios, all of which were cutting edge in 1962. Look magazine dubbed it the House of Tomorrow. The appliances have been upgraded, but the kitchen arrangement remains the same. The magnificent great rooms serve as the site of some of the most notable renovations. The curved, low-slung banquette is still present, but the upholstery has been modernized. Nearly every finish is brand new. Iconic construction. The 4-bedroom, 5-bath house was initially constructed in 1960 for Robert and Helen Alexander of the renowned Alexander construction firm by architect William Crystal. Many of the houses in the well-known Vista Las Palmas neighborhood were built by Alexander Construction, but this one boasts the best lot and the biggest pool. Many of the house's distinguishing characteristics are still present, such as a beaker-shaped fireplace hood, stacked stone walls, and wing roof line. Additionally, the landscaping had an upgrade, with the pool receiving a new surface. In the place of a huge juniper, the backyard now boasts new decking, landscaping, and a spa. Before they can view the house, prospective purchasers must be pre-qualified, so they had better move soon. This historic house probably won't be on the same market for another 6 years. One of the most well-known figures in rock and roll history is the musician and actor Elvis Presley, who first gained popularity in the middle of the 1950s on radio, TV, and the big screen. The life of Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley was born into poverty and rose through the ranks to become one of the most well-known figures in rock and roll. He began making appearances on radio, television, and the big screen by the middle of the 1950s. He passed away from heart failure on August 16, 1977 at the age of 42, and his drug addiction was a contributing factor. Presley has remained one of the most well-known musical icons in the world even since his passing. In Tupelo, Mississippi on January 8, 1935, Elvis Aaron Presley was born. He eventually modified the way his middle name was spelled to reflect the biblical form of Aaron. Presley was born without his twin brother, Jesse Garon, often written Jesse, who was intended to be a twin. Presley rose from extremely modest beginnings to become one of the most well-known figures in rock and roll. Presley was born and raised in a working-class household with limited resources, and they frequently relocated. He was raised to have a great faith in God and was very dedicated to his parents, especially his mother Gladys. When Presley and his parents went to the Assembly of God Church, gospel music had a significant impact on him. When Presley was 11 years old in 1946, his mother gave him his first guitar. A few years later, Elvis won a talent competition at Memphis Humes High School, which was when he first experienced musical success. He held several jobs after receiving his diploma in 1953 while following his artistic aspirations. That same year, he recorded his first demo in what would later be known as Sun Studio, and soon after, record label owner Sam Phillips chose to mentor the budding talent. Soon after, Presley started recording and touring in an effort to land his big break. Presley's debut single, That's Alright, came out in 1954. Heartbreak Hotel was the first #1 hit. In 1955, Presley started to gain popularity as a result of his distinctive musical taste, provocative, gyrating hips, and attractive appearance. He joined with RCA Records in the same year thanks to an agreement he and his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, negotiated. Elvis Presley, his first #1 album, and Heartbreak Hotel, his first #1 single, were all achieved by Presley in 1956. He also signed a movie deal with Paramount Pictures. Despite the controversy his sensual dance routines generated, he was a well-liked guest in several television variety shows. Presley soon had acting and music jobs all over the place. Love Me Tender, his debut movie, was a box office success in 1956. Even a brief stint in the American military was unable to derail Presley's successful career. He was informed of his eligibility for the draft in 1957, and the Army accepted him the following March. He eventually served for nearly a year and a half in Germany. Gladys, Presley's cherished mother, passed away just before Elvis traveled to Europe. After being given a leave of absence, he went back to Memphis for the funeral. Presley went back to work after grieving greatly over her passing. His encounter with Priscilla Beaulieu, a young teen while traveling in Germany, seemed to slightly uplift him. In Las Vegas, Nevada on May 1, 1967, the couple wed after falling in love. Soundtracks and films. Presley restarted his career after leaving the Army in 1960, and the soundtrack for his movie GI Blues quickly sent him back to the top of the charts. He continued to perform and create music, appearing in movies including Viva Las Vegas, Blue Hawaii, and Girls, Girls, Girls in 1964. Although both reviewers and moviegoers frequently gave his movies mixed reviews, they made money, and the soundtracks typically did well. But by the late 1960s, the mysterious performer seemed to be losing his popularity with audiences. He recorded his first TV special, sometimes known to as the 68 Comeback, in 1968, demonstrating that he was still the king of rock and roll. His performance, which exhibited his abilities as a singer and a guitarist, outstanded the audience. Daughter, Priscilla's divorce and drug abuse. Presley's personal life also appeared to be improving at this time. After being married in 1967, he and Priscilla welcomed a daughter named Lisa Marie. Sadly, this happy period would not last. Early in the 1970s, Presley's marriage was disintegrating. In 1973, the couple got a divorce and Priscilla got custody of Lisa Marie. The once belt rock singer was dealing with a weight issue as well as other personal issues, including a burgeoning prescription drug addiction. That fall, Presley's destructive lifestyle caught up with him when he was hospitalized for drug-related health issues. Presley continued to be a huge draw in Las Vegas and on tour, despite his personal struggles. In Indianapolis, Indiana, in June 1977, he took the stage for his final performance. He went back to his Memphis house, GRACELAND, after the show to get ready for another tour. Legacy and death. Presley, who was 42 years old, passed away from heart failure on the morning of August 16, 1977. Later, it was determined that his use of prescription drugs contributed to his demise. On the grounds of GRACELAND, close to the graves of his mother Gladys, father Vernon, and grandmother Minnie Mae Hood Presley was laid to rest. Presley played a major role in the growth of rock and roll music in America during his incredible career. For his gospel recordings, he was also honored with 3 Grammy Awards, with 18 #1 singles including Don't Be Cruel, Good Luck Charm, and Suspicious Minds. Presley was a significant musical force. He also had several gold and platinum albums, and one of the first musicians to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was him in 1986. However, Presley has received praise for his contributions to a number of musical subgenres, particularly rock, country, and gospel. Presley was posthumously inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1998 and the Gospel Music Hall of Fame of the Gospel Music Association 3 years later. GRACELAND. GRACELAND, Presley's Memphis home, is available to the public and gets a lot of visitors every year from all over the world, especially around his birthday and the anniversary of his passing. On August 16, 2012, the 35th anniversary of Presley's passing, thousands of fans made the trip to GRACELAND for a special vigil in memory of the king of rock and roll. Fans gathered outside Presley's house, holding lit candles throughout the event. Presley's estranged wife, Priscilla, and daughter Lisa Marie made their first appearances together at the yearly event, which the Presley family hosts to commemorate the anniversary of Presley's passing. You should consider it from our perspective. It's incredible. As reported by the Washington Post, Priscilla mentioned anything during the occasion. Candles have been ignited. It's very amazing to see. Elvis would have never ever imagined that this could have happened here. Culture pop. Presley has remained one of the most well-known musical icons in the world even since his passing. The mysterious performer has been the subject of numerous documentaries and movies throughout the years, including a 2005 television miniseries starring Jonathan Rhys Meyers as Elvis. Elvis Presley the Searcher, a two-part documentary that examines his early life, rise to popularity, and wide range of musical influences was published in 2018. A private plane once owned by Presley and his father was made public that year by the internet auction site Iron Planet. The crimson 1962 Lockheed Jetstar lacks an engine but boasts a gold-tone interior with the red velvet seats that has been idle on a New Mexico runway for decades. For $430,000, the previous owner bought the jet in 2017. More than 200 mementos from outside collectors were offered in another 2018 auction, which was hosted at the guest house at Graceland and online. These items were all once owned, worn, and autographed by the king himself. A 1942 Beretta M1934 pistol that General Omar Bradley gave to Elvis Presley sold for more than $51,000. Despite never having performed outside of the United States or Canada, the rock and roll troubadour changed the direction of musical history. In addition, he served in the army after becoming well-known, appeared in 31 films, and once acquired a presidential yacht. Find out more surprising Elvis facts by reading on. Number 1. The twin of Elvis existed. Elvis Aaron, later written Aaron Presley, was born on January 8, 1935, at his parents' two-room home in East Tupelo, Mississippi, roughly 35 minutes after the stillbirth of his identical twin brother, Jesse Garrett. Jesse was laid to rest the following day in an unmarked burial in the neighboring Priceville Cemetery. Elvis was raised as an only child in a low-income family and frequently mentioned his sibling throughout his life. His father, Vernon, had a number of odd jobs and was given a 3-year prison term in 1938 for forging a $4 check. He spent less than a year behind bars. The Presley family relocated to Memphis in 1948 in quest of better possibilities. Elvis attended Humes High School there, where he was regarded as shy and an oddball because he failed a music class. He was the first person in his immediate family to receive a high school diploma when he graduated in 1953. He drove a truck and worked as a machinist after graduating before releasing That's Alright in July 1954 and beginning his musical career. Number 2. At the age of 22, Elvis purchased Graceland. Elvis paid $102,500 in 1957 to purchase Graceland, a mansion in Memphis that was his base of operations for 20 years. It was constructed in 1939 by Dr. Thomas Moore and his wife Ruth on land that had formerly been a portion of a 500-acre farm called Graceland in honor of their original owner's daughter Grace, who happened to be Ruth Moore's great-aunt. It now occupies just under 14 acres. The White Column Moore family mansion also became known as Graceland, and Elvis retained the name when he bought the property. Over the years, the entertainer made a number of improvements to the property, including the installation of iron entrance gates with music-themed designs, a jungle room with an indoor waterfall, and a racquetball structure. Elvis was motivated to install a wall of built-in TVs in his home after learning that President Lyndon Johnson liked to simultaneously watch all three network news shows. Elvis Presley's ex-wife Priscilla Presley allowed visitors to take tours of Graceland in 1982, 5 years after the singer was discovered dead in a bathtub there. There are currently 600,000 fans who visit every year. When Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis' only child, aged 25 in 1993, she acquired Graceland and still runs it today. When George W. Bush visited Graceland in 2006, alongside the ardent Elvis fan Japanese Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi, he made history as the first sitting American president to do so. Number 3. Colonel Tom Parker. Elvis' contentious manager formerly worked as a carnival barker. Elvis' future manager, Andreas Cornelis van Kujic, who was born in the Netherlands in 1909, immigrated to America as a young man without authorization. There he assumed the identity of Tom Parker and claimed to be from West Virginia. His true ancestry was not made public until the 1980s. He began his career as a salesman for touring carnivals before working as a dog catcher and founding a pet cemetery, among other jobs. He then oversaw the careers of several country music performers. Parker obtained the honorary rank of colonel from the Louisiana governor in 1948 and insisted on using it going forward. After becoming aware of the budding Elvis in 1955, Parker arranged for the singer's contract with minor label Sun Records to be transferred to major label RCA. In 1956, Parker formally assumed management of the singer. The Colonel's leadership helped Elvis soar to fame. Elvis Presley's debut album, Elvis Presley topped Billboard's Pop Album chart, his first single for RCA. Heartbreak Hotel, issued in 1956, became the first of his career to sell more than 1 million copies, and he made his big screen debut in 1956, Love Me Tender. For the following 2 decades, the hulking, cigar-chomping Parker oversaw the direction of Elvis' career, guiding him to great success but also accepting fees of up to 50% of the performer's earnings and drawing criticism from critics who claim that Parker was stifling Elvis' creativity. Parker passed away in 1997 in Las Vegas at the age of 87, outliving his protege by 20 years. Number 4. Elvis joined the army once he achieved notoriety. Elvis, who was already a well-known celebrity, was enlisted in the American military in December 1957. The 23-year-old was enlisted into the army as a private on March 24, 1958, in front of a lot of media attention, following a brief postponement to finish filming his movie King Creole. He went to basic training at Fort Hood in Texas and was assigned the 2nd Armored Division. He was still working at Fort Hood in August when he was given an urgent leave to see his ailing mother. On August 14, 1958, Gladys Presley passed suddenly at the age of 46. Elvis moved out the following month for duty with the 3rd Armored Division in Freiburg, West Germany, where he worked as a jeep driver and was getting tons of fan mail. He stayed off base with his dad and his grandma Minnie Mae Presley when he was in Germany. Elvis also met Priscilla Beaulieu, a 14-year-old who was the daughter of a U.S. Air Force captain at this time. Priscilla and Elvis wed in 1967 after a protracted relationship. They later split up in 1973. In March 1960, having attained the rank of sergeant, Elvis was honorably released from active duty. G.I. Blues, his first film after leaving the army, was released in November of the same year. The soundtrack of the movie spent 10 weeks at the top of the Billboard album music chart and spent a total of 111 weeks there, the longest run of any album in Elvis' discography. Elvis eventually appeared in 31 different movies. Number 5. Elvis did not perform outside of the United States. Elvis Presley never played outside of the United States, with the exception of a few concerts he delivered in Canada in 1957. It is claimed that 40% of his album sales have occurred outside of the country. According to a number of accounts, Colonel Parker, Elvis' manager, declined lucrative offers for the singer to perform abroad because Parker, an undocumented immigrant, was concerned about being denied entry into the country if he went abroad. Number 6. Following an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, Elvis was burned in effigy. Colonel Parker negotiated a deal for Elvis to make 3 appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show for a then astronomical amount of $50,000 in the summer of 1956. Although Sullivan had earlier stated he would not bring the lip-curling, hip-swiveling singer onto his family-friendly TV variety show, he changed his mind after rival Steve Allen invited Elvis to perform on his program in July 1956, which significantly hurt Sullivan's ratings. On September 9, 1956, 60 million people, more than 80% of the TV audience, watched when Elvis made his debut on Sullivan's show. In actuality, Sullivan was unable to serve as the show's host because he had been hurt in a vehicle accident that August. Crowds in Nashville and St. Louis burned and hung an effigy of Elvis when the singer made his second visit in October. They were offended by the singer's seductive performance and worried that rock music would corrupt America's teenagers. In January 1957, the singer made his last performance on Sullivan's show. This time, network censors required that he be shot only from the waist up. Sullivan gave Elvis a particular nod at the end of the broadcast despite this stipulation, calling him a real lovely fine boy, and said that we have never had a pleasanter time on our show with a huge star than we have had with you. Number 7. Elvis purchased the presidential yacht of FDR. The Potomac, a 165-foot-long ship that served as FDR's floating White House from 1936 until 1945, was purchased by Elvis Presley for $55,000 in 1964. The Potomac was once a U.S. Coast Guard cutter when it was built in 1934. The ship was decommissioned upon the president's death in 1945 and went through a number of owners before Elvis purchased it. But soon after, he gave it to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which then auctioned it off to generate money. In 1980, U.S. Customs agent in San Francisco confiscated the Potomac, which was then being used by narcotic smugglers. Later, it was repaired and made accessible to the public. Elvis' Oneida yacht is one of many charity deeds he will perform throughout his life. He did several charity concerts in addition to giving away cash, jewels, cars, and other items to friends and complete strangers. In 1961, one such performance raised more than $50,000 towards the Hawaii USS Arizona Memorial's completion. The project's construction had started years earlier, but stagnated because of a lack of funding. It was intended as a memorial to the more than 1,100 soldiers who died aboard the USS Arizona during the 1941 Pearl Harbor attack. The memorial was dedicated the following year thanks in part to Elvis' concert, for which tickets cost anywhere from $3 to $100. Elvis Presley had a relatively sizable net worth at the time of his passing, after working in the industry for almost 30 years. The King of Rock and Roll had an estimated $5 million in wealth at the time of his death in August 1977, according to Celebrity Net Worth. Elvis Presley's total wealth at the time of his death, after accounting for inflation, came to almost $20 million. Even though $5 million is by no means a small sum, it was far less than what he earned in the 2 decades before his passing. Elvis blew through millions of dollars on his entourage, including numerous family members and close associates, real estate, his divorce from Priscilla Presley, and prescription drug addiction. His largest outlay to date was the purchase and upkeep of his Graceland mansion in Memphis, which continues to bring in millions of dollars from the general public each year as a historic tourist destination. It's also important to note that even after the king's passing, license payments continue to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars for the Presley estate. But to whom does all that money go? Continue reading to learn what we know. Who got Elvis Presley's wealth? Elvis Presley, the jailhouse rock singer, who died unexpectedly in August 1977 at the age of 42, bequeathed his money to his father, his grandmother, and Lisa Marie, the daughter he had with his first wife, Priscilla Presley, in 1968. Gladys, Elvis' mother, was not mentioned in his will because she passed away in 1958, many years prior. After the passing of her great-grandmother and grandfather in 1979 and 1980 respectively, Lisa Marie was left as the sole heir to her father's fortune, which by that point had been reduced to just $1 million due to GRACELAND taxes and other increasing expenses. According to her previous father-in-will, lost Lisa Marie's mother Priscilla was named as the primary executor of her ex-estate husbands because she was still a minor. Priscilla made it her goal to honor the king's legacy by starting Elvis Presley Enterprises and turning GRACELAND into a museum despite their contentious divorce. When Lisa Marie reached legal age to take over her father's trust, Priscilla had increased Lisa Marie's inheritance to a projected $100 million. And as late as 2017, Lisa Marie received a payment from her father's inheritance that was estimated to be worth $100,000 per month. And that's it for this video, TTP member. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we have delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person, as a token of your appreciation for the hard work you put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you will start to see results. See you soon.